Hey guys, it's Spaces Sins, and we are back with more Sympathy Kiss. Continuing Yoji's route. Can't say it's the bang your boss route. Well, I mean it is, because we just banged our boss last night, so woo! I think we're in his perspective right now, the morning after, so. Good times! Oh dear God! Ugh! Anyway. The morning light streamed in through the gaps in the curtains. I woke earlier than usual and saw no sign of Amasawa. Oh, she hit it and quit it! How does she get ready in time when she always sleeps in until the last minute? Muttering, I moved to the kitchen, trying to be as discreet as possible. Did you just say, and saw no sign of Amasawa? How does she get ready when she always sleeps in until the last minute? How are you saying that when I'm not in the bed where we just fucked last night? This is the next day, right? This isn't, yeah, because this wasn't one of the spin-off episodes. Huh. Once in the kitchen, I opened the cupboard to brew a pot of coffee. What's this? I noticed an unfamiliar box in the cupboard and opened it with trepidation. Inside were a pair of red and blue teacups. What, girl? Did she buy these? I laughed and couldn't help but smile, picturing her hesitantly walking to the register with these. I didn't know if I was supposed to find them or if she planned to give them to me later, but I chuckled. Never in a million years did I think I'd get wrapped up in this kind of thing. But if it's with Amasawa, you could say my first name, jackass. I nearly said something embarrassing out loud before I caught myself. What am I saying? This isn't me. It is now! I shook my head, attempting to come back to my senses. Looking around the room, I saw her belongings were scattered about the place. It's like, I don't get wrapped up in these kind of things. You fucking better after I wrapped my legs around you last night. Jesus Christ, sir! It's a little fucking late to not get wrapped up in me, is all I'm saying. Before I knew it, she'd made this place a home for herself. Well, I realized how much her presence here meant to me. Just then, Amasawa came rushing down the stairs to get ready. You wouldn't have to rush if you got up earlier. A small sigh escaped me, but a smile spread on my face. Well, someone kept me up late last night. And now we're back to being me, I think. Because of transition, I'm not sure if we're back to being me or not. I think we are. Things were so noisy in the other room that I decided to take a peek. Oh no, it's still him, okay. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so he said that. Omasawa stood in front of the mirror, her hands struggling and grasping at something behind her neck. Typical. Looks like she's gotten herself into a real mess this time. Unless this is a flashback with the necklace. And this is not the morning after. Did we go to the... I don't remember. I didn't think we did the spin-off episode. I thought it just transitioned to, like, his perspective. But maybe we did do a spin-off episode. Because then this would make more sense. But then, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're moving in, we're not leaving you type thing. She gets her necklace stuck, blah, blah, blah. And this is before we banged, if that's what the case. So maybe that's happening and I just forgot. Because, like, No, I did record that other part yesterday, so, like, but I just forgot what type of transition we went to. But anyway. I gently called out her name, and she spun around to face me. What's this, some new kind of exercise? Are you dancing with yourself? Okay, this has to be the flashback kind of episode, because this is when we got her haircut and her necklace. So this is not the morning after banging, because I was like, what the fuck? This makes way more sense now, because I'm like, why are you calling me by my first name, and why are you acting like you don't get wrapped up in this shit after we just got wrapped up in your sheets? Okay, flashback. Alright, okay, that makes way more sense now. Her face went bright red, and she quickly stared back into the mirror. Did we get that CG again? Okay, so that must have been the spin-off episode. Okay, yeah, all right, that makes sense because now we're in chapter 5. Okay, okay. All right. All right, that's just me forgetting what the fuck I went to. I think it's probably because at the end of the last part, obviously we got boned, and then we got there, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, the next morning. And it was like the next morning, but several days before. In keeping with Director Kobase's wishes, you could just say, well, when you're at work, he's your director. When you ain't at work, he ain't. I moved back into my original apartment, right, because he doesn't want that girl attacking us or whatever. As preparations for the competition entered their final stages, I grew busier and busier. We're not going to talk about how hard we boned him. Can we please talk about that and do it again repeatedly? One day, I found the atmosphere at work much different from usual. Did you see that email? I don't think it's really true, but it's weird, right? The office was buzzing with hushed whispers and gossip. Tilting my head in confusion, I heard footsteps rushing toward me. It's going to be about me banging my boss. It's terrible, Spacey! A terrible message about Director Kobase was sent out to everyone's emails this morning. Okay, how did this girl get everyone's email address in the company? People who work for the company have seen it already, and it's all anyone's talking about. Panicked, I quickly turned on my computer and found the email on the company-wide server. The email detailed the story of how Director Kobase spent time in juvenile detention due to a motorcycle accident, and how the incident's victims still suffered from their injuries to this day. Okay, but again, juvenile detention means you were young. Again, I don't know what they consider that, like, in Japan, like, what the laws and everything are, but, like, this happened when I was 21, and, you know what I mean? Like, this, so, like, it accused him of hiding things from his current coworkers, saying that he was running away from his past. Well, first of all, it's no one's motherfucking business. Like, it's no one's fucking business at work what your past is. Like, you don't tell everyone at work what it's so. Okay, I just really need to know, is it like, am I the weird one? That I'm like, my private life is my private life, and I will tell people the things that I want to tell them, but my life and the things that go on in it are nobody's motherfucking business unless I decide to tell them? And like, you know? Like, for the most part, I'm a fairly open book. I don't like hide a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of things that I just don't talk about. And I want to bring up a comment that was on a video, and I don't remember which one it was. It might have been one of these series. When I mentioned that, like, talking about my coworker, I didn't mention I mentioned that I play visual novel games, but I won't say Otome games. And somebody said, you hide things from your coworkers. And I'm like, yes. Why would I go into my corporate America fucking job and tell my coworkers that I play Otome games and romance 2D boys and have a mental man harem? That just seems a little unhinged. But it was just weird that somebody thinks it's odd that I don't tell my coworkers that. And it's like, I'm not 16 or like 22 where I'm like, oh, like when you work with people your age, and you share your hobbies. I work with people roughly around my age and some people a little bit older, a couple people younger, but they definitely do not have the same motherfucking hobbies I do. I work with people who are going to be like, well, we took our daughter to cheerleading, and they talk about their kid's soccer practice or their kid's going to college, and I'm like, I don't understand any of that shit. But you know what I mean? Like, it sounds really, like, judgy and weird, but I mean, I just find it weird that people think it's weird that I don't tell people that I play Otome games, and it's like, yes, because that's my business, and it's not my coworker's business? I don't have to tell them that I play video games at all. You know what I mean? Like, I know certain things about my coworkers because they've told people, but I don't know what some of them do for fun. I don't know if some of my coworkers like video games and like what kind of games they play, or they like board games and these are the games they play with their families. I don't know these things because we don't have those conversations. And like, maybe that's weird, but I think it's me personally. I'm like, it's weird to just lay all my fucking oddities out on the table. Like, I mean, I'm an open book of odd, don't get me wrong, but there are lines where I'm like, no, let's not get into this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't tell people at work I have a fucking YouTube channel and I do this. Fuck no, I don't want them knowing about this shit. You know? Like, it's weird that my family knows. And I'm like, why did I ever think to tell anyone? Why did I decide that that was a good idea to say that to anybody? You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like, just forget it. Please don't acknowledge it. Please don't talk about it. Please don't know. Please don't, like, you know? And I know, I think my niece has asked, my sister will act like she has no idea. I'm like, no, it's good, because nothing on my channel is appropriate for your children. Okay? And dear God, I don't. Just please no. So, like, But, like, my other sister knows and will watch some of my Sim stuff. You know what I mean? And that's weird. Sometimes. Like, sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's like, it's a little awkward, though, on occasion. You're like, what do I say? And, like, but, like, so this whole mentality that, like, he's hiding things from his coworkers. Yes. Stupid shit he did as a teenager. You're not gonna go and tell everybody the stupid shit you did as a teenager. That's like, you don't go into work and you're like, oh my God. Yeah, I was at the bar and I fucked this guy so hard last night. Like, if that's your shit and that's what you do on weekends, go for it. Do whatever you gotta do. But you're not gonna go into work and tell everyone about your sexual escapades if that's your thing, are you? No, because there's work appropriate. There's like, you are a coworker appropriate. We are not that close. And if you were that close to your coworkers, I mean, good for you. But you know what I mean? Like, there are, like, levels of and, like, the shit you did when you were a kid that got you sent to juvenile detention is not shit that your coworkers need to know. That is not like a get to know me on your work server and you're like, I once almost killed a kid. You don't put that shit out there. You know what I mean? I don't think stupid shit you did as a kid, depending on what it is, okay, should ruin your life. Again, depending on what it is. If you are like a school shooter, that should ruin your motherfucking life because fuck you. You're a twat. But like, he got in a motorcycle accident. It was an accident. Even if he was slightly negligent, you were a young, like, whatever. You know what I mean? We're going to give him a pass and be like, okay, it's not like you were purposefully out there trying to hurt someone. But like, that's not your work's business. So like, fuck this chick. And I'm not just saying that because this is my boyfriend and I'm going to defend him and I will take down the bitch. My inner sociopath is going to come out and take down the bitch that's hurting my marshmallow. But also, like, fuck this bitch because it's nobody's business at work anything that he did as a child. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Unless he decides to tell people, that's his fucking business. I mean, I guess it's a lot more, probably could be a lot more serious in Japan than it is in the West. I don't know, but still, it's really no one's business. Like, so what if he liked to get dressed up like a ballerina and do recitals in his living room when he was 8? It's not your fucking business unless he decides to tell you. Doesn't mean you get to look at him and shame him for that. Like, good for him. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people got to get out of somebody else's AB conversation, see your way out, ain't your motherfucking business. Like, just, I don't know. Anyway, they need to mind their business, and this ain't their business, so they need to stop minding it. And like, so like, fuck this chick. But I think that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you mad, because you're like, no, this ain't anybody's business. You know? Anyway. Seriously, if this were true, that would be like a total disaster, right? You mean we've been working with a dangerous criminal all this time? Juvenile detention! An accident when he was a child! This is not like he was like arrested for like holding up liquor stores. Can you imagine if you found out that you know, you knew somebody who like was driving and then, okay, wasn't paying, not that they were drunk driving or anything, because that's serious, but like, oh, you're driving and they got into a car accident and you're like, oh, dangerous criminal, you got into a car accident? Heathen, what is wrong with you? Car accidents happen. I've been in 4. Okay, I'm just clearly a terrible human fucking being. I am just the worst. 2 of them were my fault and 2 were other people's fault, but I am clearly a bad driver. Actually had a woman call me that because some dude rear-ended me at a red light. I'm a bad driver. Because I was stopped at a red light and he fucking hit me? Don't know how that fucking logic's in your goddamn cunt brain, but it's shit like this. Now, yes, he did actually injure someone and physically harm them to the point where they are... It's not like, oh, I broke my leg and I'll get better. This kid is still dealing with this, so like, yeah, it's serious, but he's not a dangerous criminal! Although they don't know the story, they just know what this woman is saying, that he spent time in juvenile detention and he's lying, and so they're gonna let rumors run rampant, so fair, but... All around me, employees voiced their snide condemnation. Director Kobase's kind nature should have been obvious to anyone who would have worked with him all this time. Well, but he always seems a little cold and aloof, so that's not helping him. Just as I stood up to refute their cruel judgments... What a bunch of bullshit! This shit's got nothing to do with how Koba does his job. If you got something to say about him, then go on. Say it to his face. I love our Labradoodle defending our marshmallow. This is why you get a Labradoodle. Because he turns into a little attack dog when he needs to be. God damn, I love him. Satome stood up and slammed his desk as his voice thundered across the office. He's a little Labradoodle with an attitude problem, and I like it. He's an aggressive Labradoodle. Seriously, you guys are all adults, right? Do you have no shame? I expect this kind of attitude from Minato, so like... Listen, I mean, good for him for standing up for the boss, but like, you kind of expect him to be like, God, you guys, shut the fuck up, you morons, because that's exactly what he'd say to anybody. But like, Labradoodle getting mad is just adorable. How about instead of focusing on someone else's past, you focus on doing your job instead? Exactly! Minato spoke sharply, driving all the workers back to their desks. It's my Blaze! I knew I could count on you! Right? They deserve head pats and treats. Let's go get them some Scooby snacks. It's not that big of a deal. Just really hate gossip. Same here. The crap drives me crazy. I won't believe a single word of it until I hear it from his own mouth. Their declarations washed away some of my distress. Yeah, that's right. Let's ask him about it directly. We need to hear how much of the email is true and understand what the circumstances were. Satome and Minato both nodded at Oe's suggestion. Agreed. At a time like this, you gotta go to the source. I saw Director Kobase in the conference room a few minutes ago. He's in there crying, the poor thing. Director Kobase had asked me to keep quiet about this whole thing, but I knew I couldn't keep it hidden anymore. Well, they're gonna go to him, and you're gonna be like, you need to tell them. Besides, the whole team had a right to know what had happened. We headed to the conference room to find Director Kobase. Also, no, they don't have a right to know what happened, but yeah, like, at this point, okay, to be fair, they don't have a right to know what happened. It's nobody's motherfucking business unless he decides to make it their motherfucking business. However, this little cunt has set a chain of events in motion where now everybody knows, so now it's kind of like, even if you wanted to keep this quiet, you kind of should tell people what's going on. Because it's kind of already out there. So now, unfortunately, she has made it everyone's business, so he kind of has to pony up and tell everyone. So now I guess she has kind of made it their business. Before it really wasn't their damn business. Now it kind of is, so... As we did, I felt the eyes of nosy employees following us. We opened the door and found Director Kobase looking ragged, slumping his shoulders. Our poor baby! Director Kobase raised his head and welcomed us in. I told you all to let me take care of it, and yet it came to this. I'm so sorry about everything. Oh, I just want to hold our marshmallow. This makes me so sad. It hurts me. I want to cry and hold him and tell him everything's going to be okay because Spacey's going to go kill a bitch. Before we could even step into the room, Director Kobase bowed deeply to us. I really do need the unhinged game where, like, we're taking care of our boyfriends by murdering the people that are hurting them. And then they're like, I don't know what happened to her. She just says, it's okay, sweetie, it's all right. It's okay, everything will be fine. And then they just don't know what a sociopath we are. That we were out there, like, serial killering people. You know what I mean? Like, be kind of fucking unhinged and fun, let's be real, you know it. Anyway. He rolled chairs out for us and explained everything. Most of what was written in that email is true. I was indeed involved in an accident in the past, and someone was hurt because of it. But again, it depends on the circumstances. Director Komase eyed us, pushing up his glasses as he continued. But the part of the email where it said I hid my past, and that isn't quite right. The president knew all of this when he hired me. I recalled the knowing glances I'd shared with President Imura the other day. I've done my best to move on from the past. I've worked diligently at this job, and also your life shouldn't be ruined because of a mistake that you made without ill intentions. You didn't have ill intentions. You know what I mean? And, like, you did your time. 12 years of it in Azkaban! You know what I mean? We don't know, like, but it... Anyway. We'd worked with him so closely until now. There was no question about his work ethic. I do like that they threw this in instead of like, it's just some crazy bitch. Like, wow, you really did something awful when you were younger. Okay, and then these are the consequences. Okay, and like, you know, whatever. Because, I mean, like, shit like this does happen. Like, so... I mean, again, she's not wrong for being upset about what happened to her brother, but at the same time, like, girl, you can't fucking live your life like this, and, like, what the hell? But from the perspective of the victim's family, none of that matters. I did something truly terrible and worthy of their anger. This is my fault. Yes and no. I mean, yes. Worthy of their anger, but at some time, you have to look at yourself. And I don't want to say get the fuck over it, because, like, this kid's never going to get over it. You know what I mean? But, like, you can't be angry 100% of the time. Because that's no way to live your life. Said as somebody who has anger management fucking issues and gets angry a lot about a lot of things and lets things fester. Like, I know it's not fucking healthy mentally or physically. You know what I mean? So, you know? He kept saying things like that and taking the weight of this all upon himself. To think that this would never come up and potentially harm the company, that was incredibly naive of me. I'm terribly sorry for the trouble I've caused you all. Poor thing. I mean, and here's the thing, like, I mean, I don't feel like he should be penalized for the rest of his life, but, like, if the kid's still dealing with things, you think you could work out something where, like, helping pay for medical expenses or something for a certain period of time. Like, obviously, when you're young, you wouldn't be able to, but now you have a job and it's like, okay, you could be doing something. Like, not you have to cover everything, but, like, doing something, you know what I mean? Like, something to kind of help. But at some point, you can't take responsibility and shoulder everything 100%. Like, you know what I mean? You caused an accident, someone got injured. That's what insurance is for. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're going to be paying through the nose. You already are for insurance anyway, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, well, that's what insurance is supposed to be for. But instead, it just fucks you up the ass and laughs at you, but whatever. All we could do was collectively stare at the director as he continued to bow his head. I believe Omisawa heard me discussing all this with the president recently. I've been careful about keeping this quiet. I didn't want to worry everyone unnecessarily before the competition. I'm very sorry this ended up turning into such an ordeal. After berating himself in front of us, he turned and straightened his posture. I don't want my personal issues to cause any more problems for Starcy and all of you than they already have. I recently spoke with the president, and I've decided to withdraw my participation in the competition. None of us could mask our surprise at this sudden announcement. Hey, wait a minute! You were the one who put everything together to make this competition happen! This incident was in the past. You can't just give in to these threats. Send the Labradoodle out. See, even he wants to go out and bite this girl in the ankle. Even something that's untrue can affect reality. After Monato's interruption, the director replied in a calm, matter-of-fact voice. He gets it, though. Monato's like, I'm being blackmailed so fucking hard right now, so I feel your pain, man. You're the most talented team I've ever assembled. I know I can trust you with this. But... Satame, it's okay. Oh, look at the Labradoodle. He's so sad. Oh. They're both so sad I can't handle it. It won't take long for our clients to find out about this. I can't let all your hard work go to waste because of me. Director Kobase narrowed his eyes before shaking his head in frustration. Listen closely. If anybody related to the competition asks you about my situation, you tell them you had no idea. Got it? I know you're trying to help, but... Seeing Monato's furrowed brow, Director Kobase spoke in a low voice. Right now, our first priority has to be saving Astarce. His intense gaze revealed how passionate he felt about it. In order to prevent this from impacting the company, I've asked the president to pretend he didn't know about this. That would put the responsibility solely on Director Kobase. I clenched my fists in frustration. Isn't there another way? There's not much time before the competition. I'm afraid this is the only option. Please try to understand. We couldn't think of anything else to say in the face of his stubborn refusal. In an attempt to lighten the mood, Director Kobase pulled a document out from his bag. I mean, I could just tell that bitch if she doesn't back off, then her family's gonna have to plan a motherfucking funeral. Are you threatening me? Yes, I am! Well, no. No, sweetie, it's not a threat, it's a motherfucking promise. Watch your fucking back, bitch. Going after... Listen, I don't care how guilty he is of whatever happened. I will take this bitch down. Like... He's my marshmallow! I've dated enough trash that I've become it, okay? I've become the dumpster fire. I just finished reading the competition manuscript. It looks pretty good, but I've placed a few red marks on things I think we should change. Look at his face! Both of their faces are so sad! Like, Kohei's face is just a little sad, but Mitsuki's face is like you just kicked him. Oh, stop it! Saotome accepted the materials, a look of disbelief still haunting his face. I want to hold our precious marshmallow and tell him everything's going to be okay, but I gotta calm down the Labradoodle first. Stop it, look at him, it's so sad. Minato looked just as stunned as he stared at the floor. Come now, don't look so sullen. The director smiled and patted them both on the back. I'm sorry I have to leave you all at the climax of our preparation. But with everything going on, I think it's best I take some time away from the spotlight. Faking a cheery disposition, he waved a hand and left the room. A long silence followed as we watched him leave. This is so sad. It was typical of him to feign an upbeat attitude whenever he was upset. I knew I couldn't leave him alone like that. I told everyone I couldn't stay and quickly followed after him. I finally caught up as he was reaching the elevator. His eyes widened as I slid through the closing elevator door. Hey, watch out! The director's hand reached out and slipped between me and the door. You might want to look before you leap next time, don't you think? Stop the elevator and do a minute. In response to his bitter laugh, I spat out exactly how I was feeling. Don't pretend to be strong with me. Nobody's going to accept this. Why are you pushing yourself so hard? I could say the same to you. I think don't pretend to be strong with me. Don't pretend to be strong with me. We had such good sex last night. Oh. Save. Okay. And the answer is, why are you pushing yourself so hard? Oh, that's the work answer! I think don't pretend to be strong with me might be a love answer. Who knows? I told him that I couldn't stand to see him suffer alone, even if he thought that was best for the group. Director Kobase pushed up his glasses in surprise. You think I'm pushing myself too hard? After these past few months, I knew better than anyone else that he was. I looked up at him with a serious expression. I guess I can't hide anything from you. Director Kobase gave me a wry smile before pushing my back up against the wall. Oh, dear God! Yes! You're pinning me? Please, I need a CG of this. As soon as the elevator started moving, Director Kobase's face approached mine. Yes, we are! Huh? The next thing I knew, Kobase put his forehead on my shoulder before speaking in a hushed, low tone. I thought he was gonna kiss me, but now he's using me as moral support, and I'm okay with that too, but not what I expected. Oh no! Is he gonna cry? He looks like he's gonna cry! Stop it! This is not how I expected this to go! Don't hurt me anymore! Please, just give me a shoulder to lean on for a moment. Oh, this poor thing! Oh, stop! He pushes you against the wall, leans in, and then it's just like, I just need to cry for a minute. This is not where I thought this was going, but I fully should have expected it. I embraced him and pulled him closer, hoping he couldn't hear my beating heart. No, you want him to, so that he knows it beats just for him and everybody else in the man harem. But like, shh, it's fine. I'm sorry, but this one's tough. I wish I could have seen this through to the end with all of you. Finally, his true feelings came out. Aww. I stroked his hair gently, feeling helpless. That he wasn't angry about the situation, that he only wanted someone to lean on. It made me love him even more. Before long, the elevator reached the first floor. Imagine that stopped on no other floor for people to get on. I'll see you later. As soon as the elevator doors opened, Director Komase exited as if nothing had happened. I watched him leave, wondering what to do next. Find a bitch and kill her. Afterwards, I returned to the conference room where everyone was still discussing the issue. I don't get why this is happening. I really can't accept this. Saltame held the red-marked manuscript that the director had handed him. Is this really the only option? Minato folded his arms and stared into space. I'm pretty sure with the four of us we can find a way to hide the body. Guys. And then they're all going to look at me slowly, turning and looking at you like you're unhinged, and you're like, what? You were all thinking. They're like, that's genius, though. Yeah, good idea. Look, I'm just saying. I'll choke the bitch, and you guys just find a place to bury her. I'm not saying when someone pisses you off you should murder them, but also... maybe. You know. Listen, I've got a lot of unhinged men in the mental man harem, and as we already know, I make room for them, and, like, math went out the window a long time ago. I think my morals might be going there, too, but, like, whatever! I wouldn't do it in reality, but in this reality where we're in this game world, living here and we gotta protect our marshmallow, I'm just saying, it's a viable fucking plan, okay? And I got enough motherfuckers in here that are unhinged enough to be able to kill someone very easily and hide bodies, and a bunch of people that even if they wouldn't murder, still would be able to hide a body. Okay? Come on. Think of your own mental man harem, and you're like, yeah, no, there's definitely some dumpster fires in here. That would, yeah, no, there's a lot of, you know what I mean? You don't just have all the wholesome ones in there. You know you got a little crazy unhinged in there. Come on. I got a lot of crazy unhinged. Minato folded his arms and stared into space. Spacey, if you know something, would you consider sharing it with us? I know that bitch's address. All the details I'd been asked to keep secret were out in the open now. There was nothing to hide, so I told them about the woman. I know her name. I know we can find her. And I know we can choke her. You ran into a member of the victim's family? In front of the office, no less? It's one hell of a coincidence. Are you sure she didn't know who you were when she approached you? As much as I didn't want that to be true, he couldn't deny the possibility. To hate somebody so much you'd wait outside their office and ambush their colleagues. What can you tell us about the incident? I shared everything I knew. Motorcycle accident? An accident? Was it the director's fault? If he was on the motorcycle and the other person was on foot, almost certainly his fault. Yeah, but I don't know. He doesn't really seem the type to drive recklessly. Maybe it was just bad teenage judgment, but do people really change that much as adults? That's an excellent point. Besides, if the person was really injured, I don't think he's the kind to hit and run. He seems more like the type to take responsibility. That said, I'd be pretty upset if he did hit and run. But he went to juvie for it, so I'm sure he didn't. But even, like he said, he was like... If he was like... Even if it was, like, again, you're whipping around a corner on your motorcycle, maybe you are driving recklessly, you hit someone, but he did take responsibility for it. He's not trying to hide it. He went to juvie for it. So, it's not like... You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it was a hit and run. Or anything, you know what I mean? I echoed Monato's discomfort with the idea. Driving recklessly, like, and then, you know, Mitsuki being like, I don't think so. I feel like what they're trying to get at is like, okay, maybe it isn't the way the sister's claiming it to be, and he's taking responsibility for it, even though, okay, when they find out the actual truth, it's like, oh my god, he wasn't driving recklessly, and the kid ran out in the street, or the sister pushed him because she was mad at him or something, and like, they were fighting, and then she was the reason, and it was, you know what I mean, it was just a horrible accident, like, you know, or you trip and fall in the way of an oncoming car. You know what I mean? The car can't stop if it doesn't know you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be something like that where it's like, oh my god, it was just a terrible accident. He wasn't driving recklessly. It wasn't on any of the... It wasn't really his fault, and his sister's just being a cunt for no reason. You know what I mean? Or whatnot. But, like... I mean... And it wasn't that long ago, so there's probably video surveillance and you could find it. And I'm sure it's going to come out to be something like that. But, like, even if he was, like, driving recklessly, it's like, just... Because, like, think about it. Like, did you always drive perfectly? You always have your hands at 10 and 2? Who the fuck drives like that? Ain't nobody fucking driving like that. You know, one time, one or another, you were, like, doing something you know you shouldn't have been doing when you were driving. Okay? You dropped something and you leaned over to pick it up, even though you're not supposed to. How many fucking cars nowadays have goddamn touchscreens in them? You're not supposed to be playing on your cell phone when you drive, but you have a motherfucking touchscreen that you are, well, it's a big screen. You're still looking away from the motherfucking road. There was a reason why, like, old cars, all the buttons, it's all tactile. You're all sitting there and you know, the third button over is this button, and I know where the knob is to turn things, but when I've got to do it, or why they started putting buttons on the steering wheel, so you don't even have to reach over, take your hands off the wheel to turn up your volume or skip to the next song. You got to right on the steering wheel. You take your hands off. You don't even take your hands off the fucking wheel. And now you got touch screens where you're like, I need to turn the AC on, and I got to go over here and hit this menu, and then go to this menu, and go to this menu, and how fucking long. And you know people are like, glance over and hit a button, glance over. You know they're like staring at their shit and doing all this stuff. So you really motherfucking think that like everybody drives responsibly? No. And he was a teenager. So yeah. I can see I'm sure I did not drive very responsibly as a fucking teenager. Okay? I might not drive that responsibly now. I drive actually way more responsibly now than I probably would have, as I love my car more than I love myself. So I would actually get out of my car and throw my body over it to protect it from a hailstorm, fuck my internal organs. I'm not dealing with that kind of damage to my poor car. I'm not over-exaggerating. I really have thought about that sometimes. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna die if she gets like, I know it's a car, but I still love my car more than most people love their kids. Okay? I'm unhinged. We know this. But like, you know, you're a teenager and you're driving a motorcycle. Of course it's possible he drove recklessly as a teen and then grew the fuck up. Just because you did something stupid as a kid doesn't mean you don't learn from it. You know what I mean? So Mitsuki's whole, I don't know, do people change that much? Yes! It's called growing the fuck up. Most people do it. Like, you know? So, like, I just have a feeling I know where they're going with this because of this conversation, but it's just really weird to be like, I don't know. If he drove recklessly as a teen, he'd be driving recklessly now. No. No, you grow up and you learn. And you know, if you get into an accident because you're driving a little bit recklessly when you're younger, you learn to fucking not do that shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know? So, like, plus he doesn't have a motorcycle anymore, so it's different. But anyway. The director drove a normal car now. True, it wasn't a motorcycle, but if he really caused an accident like that, I remarked that it was easy to picture him swearing off driving forever because of it. Well, maybe. Right? It's weird. There's something that doesn't add up here. It's tricky to say without knowing all the details, but this all seems so one-sided, doesn't it? Do you think... Okay, well, he doesn't have any siblings. And he has... His parents died. But, like, you're wondering if, like, do you think it was, like, something that maybe one of your parents did and then you took the fall for them? Because, like, if your dad was the one driving recklessly and hit this kid and did a hit and run, that he'd have gone to jail or whatever, but you are a teenager, so it'll just be, like, you're a kid, you're reckless, whatever, and you get less of a penalty. You know what I mean? Like, you know? I mean, that's happened in TV shows. Sure, he can be strict and scary, but he's reasonable, right? I just can't see him doing something like that. Saltame recounted multiple examples of the director acting responsibly. Again, though, at 16, are you going to be as responsible as you are at 26 or 36? No. So, but we know he served time in juvenile detention, right? That was what the company president said, so there was no doubting that. That would be a pretty hefty sentence for an accident that didn't cause a major injury. But he accepts full responsibility for it. I blurted out a thought. What if he was covering for someone else? What did I just say? Perhaps it was wishful thinking, but I couldn't help crossing my fingers for it. He never said he didn't have siblings that we don't know about. He just said his parents are dead. Well, I wouldn't say that's totally outside the realm of possibility. No, if anything, that's the more likely scenario. Since we all knew the director well, we all hoped that was the case. It could be, because again, if you were a teenager and your parents are like in their 30s or 40s, it's so much worse if you're a 40-year-old who's driving recklessly and knows better and hits a kid and runs away from the accident. Whereas if you're a teenager that does it, they're like, well, teenagers don't know any better, you were scared, blah, blah, blah. And then their sentence is going to be a little bit lighter for a teenager doing that because you were thinking, yes, logically you know better, but a teenager panicking after hitting a kid and then driving away and whatever, you're like, kids are panicking, kids have a lot of, you know what I mean? Then a 36-year-old doing it, you're like, the fuck is wrong with you? You know? Like, kids can get away with certain things. Like, a kid smacking another kid, you're like, whoa, Timmy, we don't smack kids. An adult smacking a kid, and you're like, the fuck, douche? Jail! You know what I mean? Like, there's things kids can get away with that adults can't, so... And it could have potentially, like, ruined his father's career or something, or whatnot. Or maybe it was right after... Because his parents both died, so, like... Something to do with that. Like, oh, my dad was sick, and maybe he was an alcoholic. And maybe he was drunk driving, and that's even worse. So, you know, I mean, who knows? Who knows? Interesting. And they're dead now, so it's not like they have to face the consequences of their actions. I really hate this kind of thing. It makes me so frustrated. Satome scratched his head frantically before grabbing Minato by the shoulders. Ko and I'll finalize the competition manuscript based on the director's instructions. Oh wait, Amasawa, can you guys investigate the whole ordeal with Koba? I love this. This is so funny. I can't wait to find out, though, what the truth is now, but now, okay, they basically spelled it out. He's covering for someone. Investigate? Well, I guess we could look into it a little after work or on the weekends, but... Don't do any overtime work. I'll take care of the extra stuff, so just pass everything along to me. I mean, that's fine with me, but... What do you think? She looked at me inquiringly, and I nodded in agreement. I didn't know if we could prove anything, but if there was even a slight chance Kobase was innocent, I wanted to find out for myself. The last thing I wanted was for Director Kobase to be forced out of the company for a crime he didn't commit. So Oe and I decided to use some of our free time outside of work to look into the incident from the director's past. It was the first Saturday after Director Kobase was suspended. Oe and I decided to visit Director Kobase's hometown to learn more about the incident. It should be around here, right? The director's old house. Oe double-checked Director Kobase's info on her phone. If he found out about this, he'd probably be really upset. To help us investigate, I enlisted Yofi to gather some information. The accident supposedly happened around here. Yofi should be able to fucking dig up the cameras and prove and be like, see right there, that's not even his body shape. It was his mom. Oh my god. I use this thunder! You okay, buddy? You alright? The thunder came out of nowhere. My bird's like, the fuck? I know it's dark up here. I know. We searched the area based on the newspaper stories Yofi emailed us. The two of us must have looked suspicious to any onlookers. I mean, you're just lollygagging around, right? Perhaps that's why we were approached by an older man who had been eyeing us skeptically. I'm going to give the bird a break, and, what are you two doing? And I gotta turn on the light up here, because it's getting really dark all of a sudden because of the rain. There we go. Hi, you wanna... Come here. You gonna take a potty breaks? I'll give you potty breaks, because you're freaking out a little bit. He was a middle-aged man who seemed to be stepping out for an afternoon walk. You gotta go potties? Did you go potties? Did you go? I wasn't listening. I wasn't looking at you. I was looking at the TV and I didn't hear you. I usually hear you do your poopy squeaks. Did you go potties? Okay. Oh, I think so. That looks like a fresh poopies. Everybody needed that. Sorry. Oh, I know. Oh, no, there comes the thunder again. Oh, it's getting thunderstormies. It's a good thing we went and got the mail earlier. It's very scary now. It's thunderstorms. Oh, no, we gotta be careful. Anyway. We're not doing anything shady. That's the first thing. They're gonna think you're doing something shady when you say it like that. The man's eyes narrowed. Oh, I wasn't doing our innocents any favors. I mean, seriously. Flustered, Oe showed the man a newspaper article about the incident. Uh-oh, hold on. Oh, it's just a severe thunderstorm warning. Okay, I was like, when I hear the thunderstorm, I'm like, let me check the weather forecast and see, because, like, you know, around here, thunderstorms also mean, like, fucking tornadoes, so, you know, it's tornado season. We gotta keep a watch on this shit, so. We're looking for information about this case. That accident happened a long time ago. What's done is done. I don't have much good to say about it then, and I certainly don't want to rehash it now. Please, I'm begging you, don't write about this on your blog or website or whatever it is you're doing. Mistaking us for reporters, the man let out an exasperated sigh. No, it's nothing like that. You see, we work with someone involved in the incident. Kobase. Hearing the director's name, the man blinked with surprise. Kobase? You mean Yoji Kobase? You work with him? Huh? I was Yoji Kobase's teacher back in junior high. Really? I said this was a remarkable coincidence. Yeah, what are the odds? But this is the director's hometown after all. It's pretty small, and I don't see many schools around here either. This man probably kept an eye out for suspicious people as a teacher. You see, Kobase's in a bit of trouble because of this incident. If we don't do something to help him... When we told him we were trying to get as much information about the incident as possible, the man crossed his arms. All right, let's chat then. He led us to a nearby park to talk. At the park... Wait, you see Sena in the bushes? Every time! We've come to this park before, but every time this park looks like the fucking one in 9 Rip, and I just expect to see Sena hiding somewhere. We sat down on a bench and began our conversation with Kobase's teacher. So you said you taught Director Kobase in school. Does that mean you were his homeroom teacher? The man stared at the playground equipment, seemingly lost in nostalgia. Yes, I was his 8th grade homeroom teacher. Once he went off to high school, he came and visited a few times, but I haven't seen him since the incident. The accident had been between a motorcycle and a pedestrian late at night. But, like, if it's the girl who's roughly our age's younger brother, he was definitely young. What the fuck was he doing out at night? There were no witnesses and no camera footage of the incident. Okay, so, well, there goes all of that and being able to prove that he didn't do it and he was covering for someone. Both parties were teenagers. The assailant was a boy known for being part of a rowdy motorcycle gang. He was in a motorcycle gang? Doesn't seem like him, but okay. But also, okay, they're both teenagers, so even if it's a couple, we thought the girl was our age and she said her younger brother. But, like, that wouldn't make any sense. Or did she say her older brother? I thought she said her younger brother. So, like, because, like, that's where I got in my head that, like, okay, he could have been a younger kid or something. But, like, if they're both teenagers, like, Kobase's probably not too much older than us, but, like, her brother being, like, even a year young. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't seem the age. Well, I mean, I guess if you were 13 and 16, maybe that still counts as teenagers, but I don't think that feels like a gap in the story that they didn't really think about. But anyway, there were whispers about the incident. It may have had something to do with the rising tensions between two motorcycle gangs. This definitely doesn't sound like her boyfriend. During the investigation, rumors intensified and the media wrote stories about the assailant's wickedness. The victim was on his way home from a friend's house. His injuries were permanent, but not life-threatening. The assailant admitted his guilt. With the victim still in the hospital and the perpetrator serving time in juvenile detention, the media moved on. But the people didn't. Rumors, some true, some false, continued to hang like a cloud over the town. But again, it doesn't sound like, okay, an accident or whatever, but it doesn't sound like Kobase would have been in a rough and tumbling motorcycle gang. Jesus, it's raining motherfucking hard all of a sudden. In a town as small as this one, there was no peace for the families of those kids. After the assailant was let out of juvenile detention, he and his family were forced to leave this place forever. I'm assuming we're supposed to be saying this like the old man, but whatever. The man bit his lip and stared at the sky. He's been through a lot. It's true he had a rough side to him, but even so, I don't know what he's like now, but he always looked tough, and he started getting taller in junior high. Well, let's just say he stood out. In a small town like this, there wasn't much for the boys to do. They'd get into little scraps here and there. I never saw him pick a fight, but he wouldn't shy away from them, and he always protected his friends. I love this, though. I love, like, okay, like, that, like, I mean, the motorcycle gang thing doesn't, you're like, that seems a little bit far-fetched, but the, like, you know, like, boys getting in little bits of fights, and he's super tall and gangly, and then he'd, like, beat up bullies who picked on his friends. You're like, that's actually kind of adorable considering. Maybe that's why he always has a permanent, like, bitch face on. You know what I mean? He was pretty well known in school, and there were quite a few kids who were afraid of him. I'm assuming it's the resting bitch face. But he always had a lot of friends, too. He was close with his parents. His mother was away at school events, and his father came when he could. I don't know much about his motorcycle history. I barely saw him after graduation. But the rumors I heard said he was never part of a motorcycle gang or anything like that. I wouldn't expect him to be. He wasn't the type to stir up trouble, much less hurt anybody. So do you think it was a friend or something then? Because it doesn't sound like he had a sibling that he was covering for, that he didn't admit that he has. Sure, he looked intimidating and he'd get into fights. And he was a motorcyclist. But he wasn't a punk or anything like that. That was just people's confirmation bias. The kid I knew would never intentionally do what happened that night. And then, why? The man shook his head, just as unsure as we were. Another thing. Kobase denied it until the very end, but I always wondered if he was covering for someone all this time. See, even this man thinks it. As soon as he said it, Oe and I made eye contact. Could it be that Director Kobase was sent to juvenile detention for someone else's crime? Was he really protecting somebody? It seemed unlikely, but knowing him... And they said, like, he'd stand up and he'd get in fights and to protect his friends. So, like, okay, he did have a motorcycle, so it's not like, oh, he got an accident. They're like, oh, he obviously borrowed a motorcycle from someone that was like, he has a motorcycle, you know, and he just admitted to it or whatever. So maybe it seems like a friend of his or someone, maybe your bestie was in a motorcycle gang and whatever, and, like, hurt this kid and you were like, they've been in so much trouble before that, like, you know, it's no problem for me to take the blame for this. I figured it wasn't one of his parents, because, like, who else would you take the blame for? And, like, hurting someone like that. I'm sorry, I love my friends, but I ain't taking the blame for you for that kind of shit. But at the same time, I'm not a teenager, so. Like, you know what I mean? Like, would I have done that as a teenager? I don't know. You know what I mean? But now you're like, hell no, I ain't that stupid. But, like, so, like, you know, somebody who already had a rap sheet, you know what I mean? It would have been worse for them. But, and he thought he could get it, because, like, okay, he did his time, whatever, and then he gets on with his life, but now this girl's hunting him down, and he's not even the one who did it. Huh. What do you think? You've worked with him. You know him well, right? You're like, yes, and he's really good in bed. Oh, was I not supposed to say that out loud? He's a man of few words, so he's easily misunderstood. But he's earnest and loyal. He is. And he's never abandoned someone in need. That's always been clear. If he were covering for the real culprit, I think I could accept that. The man said he and a few supporters tried to get Kobase to tell them what really happened, but he wouldn't budge. If he wouldn't collaborate with people who believed him, then maybe there really was a reason for his silence. Perhaps there was someone he cared enough about that he'd even give up the job he loved at Astario to protect them. That sounds like someone that you would do for family, not just for a friend that you probably haven't had any contact with. Unless it's the company president for some fucking reason. But I don't know why Suburban Dad was out here riding motorcycles, like running over kids in a small town, but... As Owie and I listened intently, the man smiled as though unburdened by telling us his theory. But I'm glad to see he has people like you by his side. People who still believe in him. I heard his parents passed away some time after he moved away. If you can find the truth, it's never too late to set the record straight. There's someone I can introduce you to. He lives around here and knows more about the incident than I do. The man took out a piece of paper from his bag and wrote down an address before handing it to me. He was Kobase's friend from school. He was there when it happened. Perhaps he can help you out. Oh, you're giving us the name of the guy who probably actually did it, granted. We politely thanked the man and left the park. Let's see if this guy's got a CG, a sprite. Not a CG, a sprite. Looking to the sky, I caught a glimpse of the sun sinking below the horizon. My phone rang as we searched for the address we were given. I wondered who it could be, boyfriend. Nope, it's Saltame. I pulled out my phone and saw Saltame's name on the screen. Hey, how are things going? I told Saltame everything we found out so far. I see. Seems like we were on to something. Saltame sighed and sent me some data from his phone. You know, Yofi sent me the article that mentioned something similar. Seems like Koba didn't tell the police much after the incident. Well, I gotta get back to preparing for the competition. It's a ton of work, but you know me. I can handle it. I know you can, Labradoodle. You guys keep up the good work. Get us some more info about Koba's past. Without waiting for my reply, Saltame hung up on me. Just then... Ah, there it is! Owie pointed excitedly at a nearby house that had the nameplate we were looking for. This had to be the right place. The name read Satake, Kobase's childhood friend. Well, are you ready? When I rang the doorbell, a man about the same age as the director answered. Yes, can I help you? Okay, he doesn't have a sprite. I was like, if he has a sprite, he's guilty as fuck! Not to say that he's still not guilty as fuck, but it would have been a 100%. Hello, we're Yuji Kobase's co-workers. As soon as she spoke the director's name, the man's face went pale. This had to be Satake, no doubt, and he knows it's caught up with him. He knows he did it. Are you here to ask about the incident? I've got nothing to say about that. The man turned twitchy, his eyes flicking in every direction. Guilty as fuck! Please, just tell us anything you can about what happened. It doesn't matter how trivial. We just finished meeting with someone who said they think there may have been some kind of cover-up. As soon as a cover-up was mentioned, the man recoiled and stiffened. Clearly agitated, the man pushed us away. I don't have any details to give you, okay? We were riding together that night, but I went ahead of him. I didn't even see the accident, got it? No, please, leave me alone! I flinched as he raised his voice, but I thought back to Kobase's sad face and stood my ground. I bit my lip hard and asked the man if he really wasn't willing to help his friend. The man turned his back on us and stared at the ground. There's nothing I can do. Please go home. The sharp metallic clank of the door shutting echoed in the air, and my shoulders sank in disappointment. Owe's soft hand rubbed my back gently. You all right? I nodded, and Owe put her lips to my ear and whispered, I hate to say it, but it sure seems like that guy was hiding something. He's guilty as fuck. I felt exactly the same. I would have expected someone so close to the accident to speak about it very differently. Deciding there was nothing more to be done, we returned home. Yeah, that guy's guilty as fuck. All right, so... Oh, wait. Are they gone? The hell does he think he's doing sending those girls here like that? Kobase, after all these years, don't tell me you're planning on betraying me now. Yeah, okay. I didn't think they were gonna, admit that, but, yes, obviously we knew he was guilty as fuck by the way he was acting. First of all, the second it was he doesn't sound like him, and what if it's a cover-up? And it's all right, and then the guy's like, I think it was a cover-up. You should talk to this guy who was there too. And it's oh, he's obviously the one, and then he's like, what? Oh my god! And he's acting like a jumpy dog. It's been a decade, probably. So, I'm just saying, motherfucker, come on. Or more. You know what I mean? You were teenagers at the time, so, and who knows, but it's been over a decade at least, probably. So, just saying, you hit that kid, and you were probably already in some trouble, probably a little delinquent yourself. Kobase took the fall for you, and, and then you never speak to them. I don't, dude, well, anyway. It's all going to come out. Don't worry. I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.